Man, this game against the 49ers is going to be so exciting for me. I understand a lot of people are looking at this game like it's not a big deal. Who cares? Whatever. No one can win from it. But it is a big deal. The Rams are trying to avoid losing their 10th game in a row to the 49ers in the regular season, and they still can lose the 6th seed. And, to me, first off, it's nothing against Jared Goff in the first round, but the Rams should want to play the non-mobile quarterback out of the three than playing two of the mobile quarterbacks. I mean, you saw the way Tyrod Taylor played. You saw the way Anthony Richardson played them this year, Lamar Jackson. I mean, the list goes up and down. I mean, as long as it's not Geno Smith, pretty much everyone has played the Rams well that has been a mobile quarterback. So, that's something to throw out there. So what I will say is this. I feel really good about not only the Rams winning this game, as you guys already know, multiple shows I predicted them to win. That's nothing new. But I feel really good about Carson Wentz's ability to not only win this game, but show out in this game. This is a 49ers team that's going to start their starters outside of Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, for what we know. But there's a very good chance that that's just a first half thing. The 49ers have nothing to play for. They're the number one seed. They already have Brock Purdy out at precautionary, and they already have Christian McCaffrey out, who probably would have missed this game anyway due to injury. They have 2 weeks off after this. So why would they risk injury to guys like Nick Bosa, guys like Chase Young and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel? I know Samuel has a chance to get to 1,000 yards receiving. I think he needs like 120 yards. I know he's going to want to get that. But aside from those incentives and those milestones, I don't see too many of those guys finishing the game. So this leads me to my point. I think when all those guys are in, I still think Wentz and the Rams are going to be able to move the football, and here's why. Sean McVay did something that not everyone agrees with, okay? I can already tell you not everyone agrees with. It is a little weird, but I understand it. I think in a perfect world, if Joe Noteboom wasn't injured this week, was ready to go, he would sit out Rob Havenstein, okay? The Rams played the Ravens wicked tough without Rob Havenstein. They beat the Browns, I believe, without Rob Havenstein. They'd probably sit out Rob Havenstein, but that is not the luxury they have. So I need to make that very clear that you can't just sit everyone. These guys do have to dress. You have to dress, I think it's 47 or 48 guys. So you still have, those inactives. Matthew Stafford could be in uniform because he can be designated as the emergency third quarterback per the NFL rules. So what I will say is this. Rams have 8 guys on their offensive line. It's not as simple as, well, this guy can start and this guy can start, because what if he gets hurt? What if this guy gets hurt? So I like the idea of protecting your backup quarterback, because I think your backup should be considered almost as important as losing Stafford, because Carson Wentz, we're going to see this weekend. I really believe that. We're going to see this guy can run an offense. He should be starting in the NFL. 2 years ago, he had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He could play in this league. He was around a bad offensive mind over in Washington. I don't think Scott Turner was great. I definitely don't think him being around Ron Rivera helped him. There's a reason why they didn't make the playoffs, and they weren't great this year. So, look, I think Carson Wentz has a great opportunity here, but I think the Rams and Sean McVay are putting him in a position to succeed. And it's why I think Carson Wentz can throw for over 300 yards. They don't have a Kyren Williams. So while I do expect the Rams to want to run the ball, it's not going to be Ronnie Rivers getting 25 carries. It's going to be Ronnie Rivers probably getting 12. Then you look at Royce Freeman getting 10, and then maybe you give 6 to 8 to Zach Evans. It's not going to be the Ronnie Rivers show. I just don't think they're going to give him all those reps. I think they're going to give everyone else some reps. I think it'll be fairly balanced. It'll be a running back by committee approach. So with that said, I think the Rams are going to be throwing a lot. And the reason I think they're going to be throwing a lot is because I think they want to keep the 49ers on their toes. If you're just running the ball, you play in the 49ers' hands. You play into their strengths. They're a great run defensive team. They are not great against the pass. They are now down a corner because, unfortunately, and I really do feel bad for him. I think this is his 6th season missing ending in a season-ending injury. And I'm talking about Jason Verrett. Incredible talent coming out, I believe, of TCU. and he just cannot stay healthy. And I feel really bad for him. He got hurt today, and he's not going to play. So he's out for the year, and it's really upsetting. But the point is that the 49ers are down, another corner there. And when you think about it, Wentz's mobility, escapability, all that, and then you look at what he can do. He's got an arm. He can throw deep down the field. He can run the ball. He can, hit the short and intermediate. I think Sean McVay is going to have fun with this, because what is really fascinating about this game, the most fascinating part, is that these two teams could very well play each other in the divisional round of the playoffs, and they should be expecting each other to play in the divisional round of the playoffs. The 49ers should not be going in to the playoffs about to take a bye and assume that the Rams are going to lose. Okay, they should not be doing that. The Rams shouldn't be assuming they're going to lose either. So, and they shouldn't be assuming the Packers or whoever's the 7th seed is going to win. So here's the deal. The Rams and 49ers could very well play each other in the second round of the playoffs in the divisional round. And if that's the case, and this is the thing with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan being kind of cut from the same cloth, if you will, they are not going to show their hand. They're not going to be calling the same type of game plan. So I think we're going to get kind of a dummy game plan here. Sean is going to try some things that they've done this year that's already on tape, but I think he's going to try some other things. And maybe we might see some of the read options that we saw with Baker Mayfield down the stretch last year. He's got a more mobile quarterback. He's got a better running quarterback right now in Carson Wentz than Matthew Stafford. Let's just call it like it is. And so I do think he's going to have some fun with this. And I think there's a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out of the game and right away there's a flea flicker and he throws deep down the field, or a play action pass, throws deep down the field, and Atwell's in stride for 60 plus yards. I said it on a show. I wouldn't be surprised. This is an opportunity to get those guys going should you need them in the playoffs. And in my opinion, Tutu Atwell's story is not written. People are already writing him off, Demarcus Robinson, this and that. And yes, Robinson's playing at a high level, but Tutu Atwell had 77 yards on 7 catches against the 49ers. He opened up the season with a 100-yard performance. He's not really getting the credit and the respect he deserves. And I think a lot of people are really underestimating how big of a deal a concussion can be. And when he got hit in the Ravens game at the very beginning, he hasn't caught a pass in 3 weeks. That's going to change. He's going to be utilized in this one. So is Demarcus Robinson. Puka Nacua is going to go for the record. So I think there's a lot to play for here. Okay. They do want that 6th seed. And the reason why you can tell they want it is because they're not sitting all of their starters. They're sitting their key guys. The great thing about this, and again, I think Wentz is going to go off. I think this is a great thing because the offensive line is intact. So while this is a tough defense, I think that defense is going to be going down to second and third string by the second half. That's when Wentz can start to really take advantage. And I think he'll be able to take advantage at the beginning because I think this offensive line has done a really nice job when healthy of protecting him. Mind you, last week, that's the most pressure we've seen put on Stafford since before the bye. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because you had Alec Jackson before the game unavailable. So now Joe Noteboom kicks in at left tackle, who he hasn't played there since early in the season, and there you go. So I think having all 5 guys starting really helps Carson Wentz, keeps him protected, keeps his confidence high, and you can sit out Cooper Kupp, you can sit out Kyren Williams, you can sit out Aaron Donald and Ernest Jones and Matthew Stafford because you have the pieces. People underrate the depth that they have. The receivers are good. Austin Trammell was catching passes from Stafford in games, like meaningful games. So the idea that Trammell comes in as a slot receiver isn't crazy. Ben Skoranek, what he did down the stretch last year, it's not crazy, right? Tutu Atwell, not at all crazy. Demarcus Robinson, no. Puka Nacua until he breaks the record, not crazy. So then you look at like guys like Davis Allen, and I'm like, he's got an offensive line, he's got weapons. The running backs, we'll see what ends up happening, kind of on a, we'll check in when it happens. But going into this game, Carson Wentz has enough to not only win the football game, but put out a really, really good performance against a really good team. And by virtue, yes, okay, they sat some of their starters, but by virtue of that, that would really help his confidence. That would really help his long-term goals. I think it really helps his career. And kind of similar to Baker last year, the Rams kind of put him back on track, and now he is playing for a chance to win the division for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and host a playoff game in the first round next week. Wentz has a very similar position that he's in, where he can win this game and be impressive enough doing it. He can get a legit starting job next year. He is a free agent, so it's worth noting. But in this one, I see it, man. I see McVay is going to have a game plan that it doesn't give away what they want to do next time they play the 49ers. He's going to utilize things that they probably utilized in the second game against the Niners of the year. But I think he's also going to kind of fool around, maybe run some power, run some read options, some zone read, things like that. And I'm very, very for it. I'm all for it. I wouldn't mind if we see some Ben Skoranek fullback in this game. Just break it all out. Just do stuff you did last year. Do stuff you've did in the past that you don't plan on using in the playoffs. That, to me, is the fun part of this game, because I feel like that's what Kyle's going to do. I feel like Kyle Shanahan, on the flip side of it, isn't trying to show anything that they're going to do in the playoffs should they play. And they should assume that they're going to play each other in the playoffs. So that's how I see it. Going to be a legitimate chess match, but at the same time, I think it's going to be kind of a shootout. Like, I think Sam Darnold's good enough to push the ball down the field. If he's throwing to Ayuk, if he's throwing to Kittle, if he's throwing to Debo, Juwan Johnson, Jennings, excuse me. I mean, if he's throwing to those guys, then I think, he definitely has a chance to keep this thing going. That's why I had 30-27 as my latest prediction. I think Wentz is going to be able to move the ball. I think Darnold's going to be able to move the ball. The game's going to be fun. And I'm just glad that Wentz isn't going into this where this is a legitimate preseason game. I think Sean McVay is too smart, and he knew that. And I was hoping he would, and I figured he would. But it was really nice to hear him say, like, oh, Carson's going to have an offensive line. Like, we're not going to just throw backups in there for Carson. And I like that. Because if you have, say, you're taking H.R. Curry off the practice squad, you can't take another. You can only take two and have them on game day, because the other one is Dresser Wynn, who's going to be the backup. So you say H.R. Curry, right? So you got our Curry starting at left tackle. You got Brian Allen at center. You got left guard, Ankrum. And then you got right tackle, McClendon. And then right guard, you have Shellen. And it's like, at that point, these guys have never played with each other. There's no chemistry. They have not gelled. There's no continuity. And now Carson Wentz has to go out there and kind of wing it with a makeshift patchwork offensive line straight out of the preseason. And it's like, you wonder why guys struggle in the preseason. This is why. I mean, quarterbacks that have to go up against these patchwork offensive lines or go up with these patchwork offensive lines against these defenses, it's not easy. So I'm glad they're doing that. I think it's going to bode well. And I think, again, the key is to win this game 100%. They've already accomplished they're going to sit their top guys. So those guys will be healthy. The hope is, then there is a risk involved here, folks. Puka Nacua getting the record, there's still a risk. So by saying you're going to sit your starters and Puka, who is your best receiver right now over Cooper Kupp, I'd say, just by the way he's playing, by not sitting him, you are running that risk for a nice historical thing that I agree he's close enough where you could argue, okay, but it's a little bit of a gamble. At the same time, though, I like Robinson, I like Atwell, I like, Skoranek and Tyler Johnson, Davis Allen, Bryson Hopkins. I like these guys getting their opportunities, but also giving Carson Wentz a shot. So I think really what it comes down to is the fact is that Sean McVay is giving him a fighting chance and not just throwing him out there and expecting him to, turn water into wine. I'm actually really excited about that prospect because people keep saying it's a preseason game, and it's simply not. It's not a preseason game, because if it was a preseason game, we'd have backups in there. The quarterback would be behind an awful offensive line. No, it's not. But hopefully everyone stays healthy. And yes, I mean the 49ers. Guys, don't root for injuries, please. Okay? I understand these two might play each other. I understand a guy like Trent Williams, if he were to go down, would make it easier for the Rams. I want to beat the team at their best. if you believe that this team is as good as you believe it to be, then you don't look at injuries. You don't look at any of that and think, wow, it would be great if Christian McCaffrey didn't play. No, your thought process is they will go into San Francisco in the playoffs and they will beat this team with Christian McCaffrey, without Christian McCaffrey, with Brock Purdy, without him. Doesn't matter because you believe in this team. I believe in a team that has won 6 of the last 7. They scored 22 touchdowns in the last 6 games. They scored 19 in the first 10. I believe in this team that has turned a corner with these young guys. And I believe that Carson Wentz is going to get it done this weekend. So those are my thoughts. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think Carson Wentz is going to get it done? I'll be honest with you. If you're a betting man or betting woman, I'll tell you right now, I'd put some money down on Carson Wentz over his yards, his touchdowns. I feel like this is going to be a good game for Carson. And again, there's no Kyron, so I don't think there's going to be as many rushing touchdowns to worry about. I think Carson Wentz is going to have the green light to throw it. And like worst comes to worst, though, the 7th seed, he can't ruin their chance at the playoffs. So I do think they're going to try some things, and we might see, to avoid the potential of going into, say, an overtime, we might see kind of the same thing that we saw with Dan Campbell going for 2-point conversion for different reasons. But I could see them treating it in that way, like a preseason game where they feel like they have to go for 2. They don't want this to go to OT. They don't want to run the risk of anyone getting hurt. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. They're kind of on the same page. They're almost on the same team, but they're not. They're actually facing each other. But they both have the same kind of concept, like we're not trying to injure anybody and get anyone hurt. So those are my thoughts. But appreciate you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me at JK Bogan. And, just real quick, I have people now, since I said follow on all social media at JK Bogan, that's been huge because now people are following me on Instagram and TikTok and so forth. Keep doing that. That helps, and I appreciate it. The thing with TikTok here, I don't know how to use TikTok. I really don't. I don't know what direction I want to go in. I know this is predominantly a Rams channel, so I don't want to go in that direction. So what I'm thinking is I'm probably just going to start using it as just a way to like rant and just like anything that's on my mind, like any topic that I think is, thought provoking, I'm just going to put it out there. So if you guys are interested in that, you want extra JE content, I think that's where that's going to live. It'll also live on Instagram. If they even allow you to upload videos that are longer than a minute. But these will be longer than a minute videos, sometimes shorter. But if you guys are interested, check it out. TikTok, JK Bogan. That's that. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks.
Start playing Pick'em or Weekly Fantasy for any sport today, Jake. Users will receive a 100% deposit match up to $100 if they use promo code OTE at sign up. Start playing Pick'em and Weekly Fantasy Football today with Underdog Fantasy.
Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.